Hello, my name is Andrew and welcome to the channel. It's dedicated to software engineering and particularly a few streams of this month are dedicated to solving one of the problems I have. It's about routine action automation. So let me close the thing I was doing. Yep. Preview. So I have a problem. It's about making daily routine actions such as generate video, upload them. It takes me a lot of efforts to do the thing. It's make SSH connection, make moderation, make everything, and it requires one SSH session. Obviously, I can rework SSH script, but in the end, it's about. I'm not happy about about that, and I decided to make a solution which I used to have 6 years ago. It used Python. So let's go to GitHub. Yeah, it used Python, and there was some quite complex infrastructure such as Celery, Redis. It used to be Django, which is fine, but I didn't want to do also database, too much entities. Since then I have, in block up to date, nice. Since then I have evolved a bit. So this time I would like to have a better solution which takes one binary and shared storage. Maybe it will communicate to me via my favorite messenger, which actually I use once a day, maybe once per 3 days. It's Telegram. So what I have, it's one binary, one shared storage, and a lot of hardware. It has a multicast to communicate and discover purposes of my workers. And I have some sort of infrastructure, hardware. Yeah, one laptop, it's quite old, another laptop, and big PC with GPU. I need that GPU. Also, I have set up Grafana, and it lives in a cup. It's a Raspberry Pi. Focus of this camera is quite odd. So it lives in a cup on a shelf. With that said, I have no problems with overheat. Obviously, if it goes better than right now, I'll have to maybe make a case for this. Maybe I'll purchase another Raspberry Pi. It used to be like 18 euros, maybe less than 20 euros. And let's check if terminal and Firefox. So as for Firefox, I have this Grafana installed on Raspberry Pi, as well as where is my bookmarks? There is also Prometheus to gather data. I haven't set up any collecting and aggregation, but it's already prepared. The infrastructure for this, for reporting and alerts, it's done. So as for Raspberry Pi, let's check. Yes, it's quite. Can I increase it? It's one core and less than 500 memory, and I'm fine with it. Its only job would be to generate cron-tab commands to wake on LAN, wake on network for laptops. So it will wake up laptops, make workers do the thing, and then it will communicate, aggregate data for reporting, etc. So in my architecture, it's last two items. What else? So it's a small recap about what I'm doing, and last time I used to do one interesting thing. It's about shutdown. So let's assume for some reason, maybe software update on the laptop, this laptop must reboot. That means it sends shutdown to the binary, somehow like kill whatever, kill minus dash 6 or 9. So shutdown must cause every entity and running processes in this project to say, okay, there are no errors, I save data to shared storage, and then pass request to another worker. I think it's done here. Yes, there is a schema. Unfortunately, let me try to. Yeah, I think I can do this. Yeah, now it's better. So let's assume in here block registry can understand that right now this block is not available. Let's assume it's GPU or some network resource I have. If it's not available, it will go to its registry of workers, check if any worker in the network has this block available, and then it will pass request to that worker. It's the second block, and the first worker will say, okay, I sent request, that second worker accepted the request, now I can stop. That's actually how shutdown happens. And I spent dedicated Wednesday and Thursday straight to that. So let's see what happened in there. Let's say I have server. Yeah, here worker. And I have shutdown, Graceful shutdown. In here, it's calling one method named shutdown. It's from worker. This worker shutdown, first of all, it gathers functions which must be called when it happens. For example, it announces that this worker is offline for multicast. It also, so let's check this function. Yes, I call mServer shutdown. Here it is, unregister, and then close connections. It's inside of library, but what's most important, it calls unregister itself from multicast DNS. Then it calls shutdown for block registry. So block registry, it's here. It has shutdown method as well as every block, every registry interface. Yeah. So block registry shutdown. It has two entities. First entity, it's block detector. Let's assume binary has started, and it must be sure that some hardware or capability is possible right now. So GPU reports its load less than 90%, for example. When it starts, it checks everything using method detector. It's separate class made for every block. For example, HTTP block, where is that unit? here. HTTP block has its own detection method. It just get URL. For HTTP, it's also defined in config. Here it is. It's the way how it can detect if it's able to work or not. For OpenAI, there is a check for OpenAI.API, but I will need to update this detector to include credentials check. Let's assume I have rotated credentials, tokens, it must be able to do it. But what's important in this case, it's registry, block registry. There is a routine which works once per 5, maybe 10 seconds. It depends on config. Let's check. Once a minute. So once a minute, this Go routine will execute these detect methods, and then it will mark blocks as available or not. And since this registry is a singleton, that means that any request passed to this runtime is able to work with this registry, mapping, block, whatever. It has mute access, so it's safe to use. Also, there is another shutdown which I spent a while. It's pipeline registry. Here it is. It has its own shutdown. I think right now it should be empty. Yes, because back in the day I had processing. Let's assume I have image resizing happening right now in this binary. When I call Graceful Shutdown, it should stop calling some image magic and pass request further next worker. I used to have this logic in here, but I was not happy about it because pipeline registry, it's a registry of pipelines. It's a singleton. It should not be saving state of processing. And that's the reason why I have created brand new entity. It's processing registry. This registry it's also a singleton pattern, but it has a mapping of states, which means if I passed something, I have processing ID as a response to check it, for example, in shared storage. But this processing registry has its own shutdown method as well as everything, and it has a new interface for processing. For example, pending, running, completed, failed. And I have implemented that. It took a while. But there is a shutdown method in here. Yes, here. It was tough to implement. Fortunately, I had tests and it solved a lot of problems. So I have quite odd code in here, but it works, and obviously I will have to rework it. So it's quite straightforward. I have wait group to wait that every processing which happens right now got its shutdown method. So in here, I iterate through processing. It's a list of whatever happens right now. I say, okay, wait group, add this processing to wait, and then in Go function, I call shutdown method. I don't need that shutdown to complete. I simply need to call these methods concurrently, and then I wait. In here, I wait that all those methods will complete. Here it is. And there is also another check that let's assume my context was cancelled for any reason. Then it should instantly yield out of this. And processing shutdown, where it is, here. It's an interface, there is the data class. Yeah, I have it here. So it also has its own context for reason of shutdown. Yeah, here it is. I'm checking if it's not completed. I set its status as failed. and then I call method cancel. There is subscriber for this. Yeah, there is a start method, so every processing can start itself. And here it is. I call interface method of the block with current context. And that's interesting. Let's assume I have this. I think here process. No, here. Yes, I have method process of HTTP block, and it has context of processing entity above which controls this process. And then I call method response HTTP with context, which means I can cancel HTTP request when shutdown was called. This is the magic. So I have big processing registry, I have small entity here, and this small entity also controls every bit of processing. The same works for OpenAI. Here it is. OpenAI has its own create completion, it's a library, but it also can work with cancel contexts. And that's the solution how to do it. Obviously, everything was developed using some test first strategy. I have unit tests for processing. Here it is. Let's run these files to ensure that nothing has changed. I remember that everything was working correctly. Yeah. Request was cancelled. Yeah, that's exactly. So what's happening here is just interface method checks, but there was yes, I initiate new processing, telling that there is processing pipeline block and some data. Then I say registry, here's your processing, and then some methods. But there was shutdown checks. Start processing by ID, yes, I did that, and I was checking results. Yeah, start processing as interface. Here it is. This is the test which took a lot. It's about, let's check how shutdown will behave when the task was marked as completed. So what do? I have some HTTP endpoint which yields hello world within 10 milliseconds. So it has some simulation of response delay. Then I have some request for pipeline, and here it is. I call, let's do the processing. I do this as Go function for this processing. I don't need wait anything from it, but then I call, let's sleep for a while, and after that, this sleep ensures that this task has been completed. So it's 15 milliseconds. And then I call shutdown. And then I check if this processing was marked as cancelled or failed or completed. Because of this sleep, I can ensure that it definitely was completed. So I'm shutting down the registry which has no active tasks. And here it is. Yes, it works. And now I have another test which shutdowns running processing, which is here. I have delay. Hello world will be returned by the server in 1 hour. That, let's assume I had make some updates, and if it will be a few milliseconds, that will be possible that I will not notice something. But in this case, when delay is 1 hour, I will definitely notice that my test runs slow. So this is only difference. It takes the same data and it has sleep. it sleeps for 10 milliseconds and then it calls shutdown. And then I assume that there was an error because HTTP block still works. This is necessary. Whoa. Yeah, there is timeout 10 seconds, which is fine. Yep. And that leads me to another place. I made functional test. I think it's here. Yeah. So I made a test to check how will work, how this binary itself will behave. I have a pipeline which works with two blocks, and I'm making instance of the server. Get server, it's factory. Set up suite, yes. Factory server factory. I'm making the server. I'm getting this singleton from the server instance, and then I'm starting some mock servers to respond with something. After that, I'm preparing body for passing to the request, and then I'm calling server handler endpoint. So it's here. Server get echo new context. Yes. So I'm calling this HTTP handler to ensure that it works. So I'm waiting for two blocks to process. I made some channels. And then I'm checking storages. So this is a functional test. It takes everything from HTTP handler to the storage where the result must be saved. I think I also made similar test for shutdown, but I don't remember where it is. Maybe I have moved it to unit test. Yeah, I moved it to unit test. Where is it? Pipeline registry test. It was the last. Yeah. So I had to remove some tests from unit tests of registry because the storage was not a part of registry. That's what I've done. It was processing. Shutdown running processing. Start processing. Yeah. It used to have checks for storage, and I had to remove it as well as from here. I have separated storage tests from some unrelated entities in unit tests, and it caused me to move some tests from one place to another. So that's what I've done. I have implemented a new entity. I have implemented correct shutdown method. And it's time to define a few more things. So keep track of processing pipelines, simply pass. Yes, I have it. So the idea about how it will pass data, it's in data clones pipeline. Yeah, it's here. Where is not? Yeah. So every time I loop through the block, I'm checking if this block available. So when shutdown happens, it marks blocks as not available. So whatever happens, the running Go routine or HTTP request, let's assume it managed to get through Graceful shutdown, it will meet that block is not available and it will resume processing somewhere. That's the logic. I also have made this function resume at worker. So this function makes simple HTTP request to some worker with here is pipeline, do the thing, and there is request. Obviously, I will have to do functional tests with that. It was worker registry, so let's go to test functional worker registry test. Okay, I have this test, resume processing. It's updated, copy, paste. So I have the server. Then I say there is discovered entity, discovered worker. And what's important, it's not available. Also I say there is another entity, this one, and it was enabled. After that I call resume processing and error should be none. So let's do the following. Let's ensure that this test works. First of all, beautiful. And now let's do the following. Resume processing. I'll make that valid workers in here. It will return nothing. So this test should fail. It failed because no valid workers found. This is an error. Beautiful. But this test, it ensures about this method worked when I had some network communication and I called the method. I was wondering if it's a unit test or functional, so I decided to leave it in both test folders. But what is necessary, let's write down it here. I need to do real communication. And here I can mark it as done. Next stream will be September 23. Today is 21st. So let's do it today. I think it will be quite interesting. So what I would like to do today is to introduce functional tests with two instances of these binaries, which should, in first instance, which has two blocks, I should say the second block is not available. In the second instance of this particular binary will say, okay, the second is available, I can process it. This is what will be done today, and it will ensure that defined communication is working. Make a functional test about the instances of server. Simulating pipeline block. So make functional test simulating pipeline block availability on two servers. Situation 1. It's case 1. Server A. Let's call it worker. worker A has two blocks. Let's call it worker 1. Two blocks A and B. Block A is available and block B is not. Also, worker 2 has two blocks A and B. Block A and block B are available. So this last thing might also be switched to updated to case 2. The same, but block A is not available. And block B is available. So 2 cases will cover a lot. Maybe there will be a case 3 when nothing is available in worker 1. So it would be a miracle. Case 3. 2 blocks, both are not available. So this is a thing to make today. It will take a while. I have 30 minutes. But let's schedule what's necessary to do to next stream. Yeah, let's do it today and now, because it might take a while. If I ensure that communication between workers is fine, that means I will have to do compile the binary, create CI, and what's important, I will have to make delivery system. I mean binary delivery. Let's assume I made new build. Every test works fine. That means Raspberry Pi, sorry. So let's assume Raspberry Pi has running runtime and it has finished its job. Obviously, it has some sort of routine which checks that new version of this project is out. It must be able to download new version of this project, update it, and then restart. That will be tough because I will have to create some sort of local repository, but I don't like it. I will have to scope. So the idea would be it's time to consider CI/CD, move it to from consider to set up CI/CD. I need every binary to check for new version in runtime once, let's say 10 minutes. It must download new version and restart for restart binary for update. It's option A, but there is another option because this is not secure. With that kind of thing, I will have to ensure that endpoint which has binary has correct certificates. It means I will have to issue those certificates. I'm not happy with that as well. But honestly, I don't think it's a good thing to SSH to every device I have to update the binary. Yeah, also it has config files. That's another thing I don't like, because config files in some cases, such as this, where is the config? Yeah, I think config YAML, this one is common for everything. But yeah, it's common for everything except one entry, this. Let's say I don't want OpenAI to be available at Raspberry Pi. I don't want to have image operations available for Raspberry Pi. That means I will have to do enabled new config entry. That means that every binary will have to have this. Or obviously I can embed it into binary itself, and then calling the binary from systemd in Raspberry Pi, it will take options such as disabled blocks, and there is a list of disabled blocks. I will have to consider those options. It will take some time, but to include this binary, include this config into binary, it means that binary update will be a major feature, we would call it. Let's say this file, it's validation for the pipeline schema. I think it will be updated once a quarter, maybe once a year, because right now it has all my requirements compiled in. There is no need to do anything with this file except embed it to binary itself. It's not a big deal. Storage credentials, that's a different thing. It must be common for every binary. If storage credentials are absent, that means something is wrong. Every binary should have access there. Also, it is possible to create peer-to-peer communication, which will make storage not that necessary. But I don't like it as well. It takes too much time. Yeah, so CI/CD, it will take a while. All I need to do, maybe I'll do it in GitHub. Yeah, I'll do it in GitHub. Obviously, it's not secure. It's bad. And to embed binary update through GitHub, it's like security breach 100%. I'll scope it for next day. So right now, let's do this. It's a functional test. Let's ensure that this file works. Yeah, every test in here works correctly. So let's write quite stupid test. It should contain a few things. test worker communication. Two workers, two blocks. So the way I did it in here, let's just do this. New worker server. Let me check what was inside there, because it's possible. New mock worker registry entry. Yes, it's not correct. I need new server factory. Yeah. Where was it? In here. What was I checking? Yes. I have, let's call it server 1. To be honest, worker 1. Worker 2, the same. But in this time, get server suite server, it is, what was it? Setup suite, factories. Yeah, let's do this. And then we say defer. Worker 1, it's not close, it's shut down. Timeout. Time, a second. I think it would be fine. So let's run this test to ensure that I have not made some problem, introduced some problems. Yeah, here they are. So what we have? Negative weight group counter. One more thing. This server factory ensures that I call new config. Okay. Block registry. Yeah, it's fine. Then after this happened, let's do time sleep. Oh no, I must wait for this to start up correctly. Server factory. New server. How did I wait? I call new server, shut down 5 seconds. Let's copy it here as well. I don't remember why it's 5 seconds. Then I add middleware, I add routes, it's fine. I don't need any of this. And then I call worker start. Yeah. Maybe that was the reason, because this shutdown, it has let's check what error will happen right now. Yeah, it started server. Nice. So in this case, I should say go worker start, then I wait. For, let's say, 5 seconds, and it should die without problems. So it started, it failed, beautiful. Another problem. What ports should it utilize? In here I say new server, there is config, which is singleton. So in this case, I should pass new port, but new port is started a new worker server. That's awesome. That means I need to prepare server 1, which is new worker server. And let's copy. It was somewhere here. Yeah. It was called worker server, worker entry, and that's good. Now we should also pass pipelines. I have created new pipeline. It's for test only. It contains 2 blocks. First block, it's self-sufficient. It makes request to somewhere, but second block makes request to the results of first block. In this case, let's say given. This is the test, first block ID. Let's call it yeah, it's the same block. It's okay. But this has no connection anywhere. It just set available. I think it should be done later, but let's keep it here. There should be second block ID. It was called yeah. So I have 2 blocks. I have this pipeline. Then I should not mark anything as ready. And then I say, okay, new worker server. It will mock server, but I don't need it mocked. I need it new worker registry entry. That is what I need. So let's remove it. So it accepts worker server. That means I need a mock server function. Come on. This one, yeah. So I need to do this. But wait. So I'm solving the problem with ports. Why would I make this? I wanted to use some factory methods, but it won't work. However, I have another option. It was new server config get config here. I'm making this one. Yeah, so at this case, at this stage, I have now started server. Started server happens here. But there was a method, let's check, set port, I think it was called. Get port, yes. There is no set port. Beautiful. Function server, not get address, but set port. That should be it. Also, this server has no mutex because it used to work with no write operations. Yes, it had only get methods. Get. Beautiful. It's time to introduce mutex. Okay, then add middleware as AKUs, yes. So there should be no errors. It has logs. Beautiful. That will allow me to do the following. Worker 1, set port to whatever value I need, and worker 2, set port. Unfortunately, I don't know the value of available ports. However, I have an entity named HTTP test unstarted server. I think it was called like that. Let's check. HTTP test server. It was in factory, it was here, but I used it somewhere. Unfortunately, I forgot how it was called. Yes, unstarted. Here it is. I used to check HTTP block with working servers, but here is another entity named unstarted server. It can yield a server which will be started somewhere, but I need only one thing from it. It's URL. So I can introduce it here. Server 1. And here I can say, by the way, let's make it a factory as well, because I'm not happy with copy pasting. Func unstarted. Let's do it copy paste right now. Server 2. So I have two servers. I have two workers, and it's time to get port from this server. I had a function for this in here, I think. Yeah. So new worker register entry, it accepts server, available, and list of blocks. It should yield me 0conf entry with correct config. I'm fine with that method. So I can say worker 1 yes, and here I say worker 1 server set port worker 1 get port. There is a method. Beautiful. Worker 1. And let's do the same for the second server. So what I have here, it's two unstarted HTTP servers, which I will use their ports to start another servers. That's quite tough and bad To be honest, there should be a method to get port which is ready, but let's run this test to ensure that it's not breaking anything. Yeah, it breaks everything. What does it do? There is a panic here. Yeah. By the way, maybe I don't need that as well. I can start server at port 0. Yeah, port 0. Beautiful. And it should go down in 5 seconds. Unfortunately, there is an error. Let's check. Test timeout after 10 seconds. It's panic about 10 seconds. Fine. Let's do it. Sleep. 1 second. Again. Nice. So let's reduce shutdown time to 1 second. And then if it won't happen, then I will have to figure out what is taking too much time. By the way, maybe I should make it separate test. I think it used to be here. No, I used to check it as context and handlers. I didn't check it as a standalone entity like this. Let's rename this test. Then I should check that shutdown managed to happen. Shutdown has timeout, timeout has cancel. Does it return cancel? No. But the server used to have a method named, where is it, set port, get echo. Yeah. So it's possible worker server, let's rename worker server to worker get echo. I need to ensure that it's offline. Should be server, I think. Okay, let's Google the thing. Okay. I might make a request because I have port, I have host. Why not? So how to make a request? Okay, I need copy paste HTTP block. To their client. Client is HTTP client. Maybe get echo. Then get server. Server URL. It must be there. What? Server address, TCP address, host port. Okay, let's go for the address. Then I should check that error is not nil. So this is a test to ensure that my worker is shutting down correctly. By the way, I should check that it is one worker which shut down correctly. After this test will be working, I can check that worker 1 get HTTP request and then worker 2 check its registry. But now it yields me an error. I'm fine with this because I can comment here and get another error. Ah, Jesus Christ. Why do I do this share? Yeah. So I have an error, but got get URL. There was an error which kind of it's empty. Nice. Not a big deal because I can do fnts printf. Okay, I have host port and I think there should be address. So let's check in config. Yeah, host and port. Let's run this again. I hope there will be another error. Yeah. Another error. Fortunately, we have URL. There is something in URL. It's 0. It doesn't work with 0. Beautiful. It comes from config. Now I need to get the thing. Server. I think it's server, but maybe there is others. Okay, server address, TCP address to listen on, yes. But there is nothing about, let's check one more thing. It used to run, so in this case, this is incorrect. Sync wait group. So what is happening? I'm calling shutdown without ensuring that start has happened. So in this case, this start should do a few things. First of all, announce, discover, and then start. This start, does it... Yes, server. This server... yeah, that's correct. It should contain this method. No, okay, let's call it address. So this start never makes it to yield the channel or whatever. It just start, where is it, worker go. This start yields an error. So I should, it's possible, do this. Oh, no. Let's see what happens. It should hang at start and never call shutdown. So it started correctly. And then nothing. So it blocks here. That is good. That means previous structure like this was correct. Okay. What I have here. maybe I should include sleep. To be honest, I don't like sleep. I would like to include something into the start that maybe this server has a channel. This server has a channel which says, okay, in here I can write to the channel that it's ready to do things. But I'm not happy about it as well. This echo has start mutex, which is locked. Configure server. This serve is blocking. Yeah, here it is. Which means I cannot do this easily, but introduce a sleep. I cannot do it a second, it's too much, millisecond. Let's say 100 milliseconds will be enough. Let's assume. Let's call panic. I need to ensure that shutdown method happens. So I have started the server, but it's already past 100 milliseconds. Which means somehow it's blocked. Yeah, the server started, so I press Ctrl C, it should panic. Shutting down. Wait. I have broken something. Okay, not a big deal. I think it's in here. It said shutting down, but it never introduced where. Yeah, I have killed it from another terminal. But it worked. Wait. I have killed it. Is it working in background? I think this terminal is dead. So there's definitely something happening in Shutdown. Let's do the following. Yes, I used to have the situation before every shutdown method implementation. Fortunately, yes, I have another option. So I press Ctrl C, it should somehow shut down, but it's not going down. I need to check why. Something is definitely not right in the configuration. So So website and documentation of ECA says there is better way to make this shutdown except this. I'll copy paste it and let's check. I used to have it like this, but but it used to work. Okay, not a big deal. I'll do it without wasting your time. I think it was introduced somewhere in config because I have commented everything related to last week job in here, but I'll return it. So this test should ensure that test worker shutdown correct. There should be another test like this. Test worker communication. To worker communication. So it will be the same HTTP client from test, but there will be two workers. It should be done like this. Worker 1 and worker 2. Yes. So when an HTTP client makes post request to worker 1, let's make it get address. Also, this log might be a problem. So let's say this. I'll remove it. It's definitely this log. it was this log, that log. So worker shutdown, what does it do? It calls some methods, and maybe, but this log is necessary. So let's check. This classic. I called log somewhere, and then it says, aha, no way. So in here, I call start. That's fine. Shutdown. What does it do? Context. There is nothing related to server. New context. It doesn't do anything. Get host. Fine. Port. The same. Set port. It's okay. Get echo. It's fine. MDN is fine. Config fine. No, it's still fine. I need to check. So it's hanging at start. I have worker here. So it's about sync. Why it's mutex? Let's make it read-write mutex. And then here I can say as read log. And as a port set, I said write log. How was it called? Yeah. So let's try this. Unlock. Aha. Here it is. Another mistake. Oh. Yay, it works. So I used to have panic somewhere. So this test, let's try it again. Server started, then there is server closed, exit status 1, and I'm checking that errors are OP parse. Beautiful. That means I had a method to get address. Get no, I did not implement it. That is good. That means I need function server no, but get server. This server address is this. I don't need this. Here it is. Let's check. Get echo. Where do I use it? There are only 2 usages of get echo. Nice. It's possible that I have forgot it somewhere. So in here I should say defer. I don't need this. Why is this 0? It has it started at. There is port. Okay, let's dig. Let's dig here. Configure server. So this used to say steerer started on listener address. That means okay, parse URL. So I have another issue. String of address. There is no protocol in here. So if I do something like I'm not happy about it. I think this address needs, it should have some sort of protocol network. There is nothing about that. Fortunately, I can do this. Okay, what do we have here? Remote. So I made another request which yielded me not found. There is no error. Beautiful. But in here I should this get server address, it yields me net other. Let's make another method named get get API address. So this get API address should yield me server string, but a config used to say HTTP or HTTPS. Where is it? You know what? Let's make it HTTP always. And then here I can say worker1 get API address. Yes, and by the way, what am I doing? As printf, I need address /health. Let's check health of that. Host method URL /health. Do I have /health? Yes, I do. And it's get. Get /health to worker1. You know what? Let's make a sleep. Time hour. What I want to do is run this, and then since I have this address, I can commit a request. there was split terminal somewhere. Obviously it will panic in 10 seconds. But I would like to have a new. It's here, yeah. So let's start this test again. I will have 10 seconds to copy paste. And not found. But why? By the way, since I need to check output, there should be body. Then set not nil, defer body close. It's response. I need to status OK, obviously. But I cannot understand why it yields me nothing. Let's do the following. There was body reader in HTTP block here. Output, it's bytes buffer. Oh, message not found. That's good. Server factory, let's go there. New server. Does it have... it has no attachment to workers, to handlers. So my handlers are here. I do not say attach add API route. That's good. That's very good. Let's do this. I almost forgot it. So worker 1. And let's check it again. Yeah, status 200. So it works. Let's wait for panic and restart it. I nearly forgot that I need to attach handlers. I was thinking about get server from commands worker call. But now I have another problem. It is fatal server. It's not a big deal. So I have this. I need to do a bit different thing. I need to create new factory. Let's call it new worker func. In here I call it new server, but there is no connection to handlers. Connection is done in here. It's partially correct, but I don't like it. What is necessary is to pass a new server. It has start here. I don't like this. But yeah, let's do this. Yeah, it comes from another place. It comes from echo. It's okay. But there is fail. The fail comes from this and this case particularly. Not a big deal. So important part that this test is nearly done. I can copy paste it here. So it's worker 1. I'll have the same for worker 2. But in this case, I need to attach a bit different thing named not health, but start and restart. As well as workers, yeah, it's already making a factory necessary. So that's what I'll be doing today and tomorrow after the stream. I'll need to make this functional test. And only after that, after I understand that communication is established correctly, I can proceed working with blocks. Because according to the config, this one should have a few blocks. Should have 13 different blocks. Yeah, so each block implementation will be quite tough because, at least for the Telegram, there is two-way communication. First way, send text to the messenger. The second, it will be quite tricky because I might sleep. I can miss the message. I cannot approve some text or video. That means it must repeat. It must not fail. So this action and pipeline itself should support different types of retries. And I'll define it later when it will be time for this particular block, because the rest of the blocks are quite straightforward. The only problem would be to interact with something which is not available, but surely soon it will be available. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Sorry for overtime, as always. And see you later. Bye-bye.